So all these things are examples of messages that aren't just information. What are they? They're speech acts. You might have come across this term. Speech act. A speech act is something that you say that actually has a force that comes from you saying it. You are doing something by speaking. So here's a ship being launched. It might look like a ship sinking, but it's actually a ship being launched. So when they launch a ship, you know, certainly in England, they get someone like the Queen, you know, to go along, and there's a bottle of champagne suspended by a rope, and she smashes the bottle of champagne against the ship, and she says, "I named this ship the whatever it is. May God bless her and all who sail in her," or something like that. So that is what speech acts theorists call a performative utterance. By uttering those words, you're doing something. And there are lots of times people do something by saying things. If you name something, I mean, naming something or naming a person, you know, like the ship, or it doesn't have to be a ship, it could be a person. That's a very significant thing. You know, if you marry two people, if you're, you know, a priest or a civil registrar, that you're doing something very significant by uttering the words, you know, you are now married. Or if you know, people divorce, if you pronounce a verdict on someone in a court of law, you know, you say, "You are guilty of this crime, I sentence you to 10 years in prison." By uttering those words, you're actually doing something. You're not just speaking. And it turns out that there's lots and lots and lots of words that we use at work or elsewhere that do things, you know, promising, threatening, naming, etc. I was thinking about this when Marina was asking us the questions, which were either true or false. When you're saying sentences which have got these things in them, or these meanings in them, it doesn't make sense to say they're true or they're false. You can't apply logic to them because they are what they are. They're performative. But the interesting thing is they're very, very meaningful. They're actually, when you see sentences like this, they are the most meaningful sentences that you say or have said to you when you're at work. That really means that we have to think about communication in a different way, I would suggest. We have to be aware of what is the performative force, if you like, behind everything that someone's saying to us, and what is the performative force that we want to give to the words that we use. So that's the first thing. Communication is doing something, and also doing something. As I said at the beginning, doing something is communication. So Kanban boards, you're probably familiar with. What we're saying here is we are putting a board up to show people the progress of our work. Anyone who comes into the room can just look at the board, and they will see how the work is going. A very simple idea, but a lot of us have found out that it's incredibly powerful, whether you're doing it, you know, an agile project or whatever it is. So it's visible. So we're doing something there, and we're communicating by doing it, making the work visible. So these people are collaborating with each other in the workplace. And you know, the person who's chopping vegetables has got a pile of vegetables that need to be chopped, and they've got a pile of vegetables that have been chopped. And everyone who walks past, in fact, everyone who's in that row can see the size of the pile of things that haven't been chopped and the pile of the things that have been chopped. So this is actually better than a Kanban board, because a Kanban board is a story about what you're doing. It might be completely untrue. A Kanban board could be saying stuff that isn't true. We might be saying this story is done, you know, when it's not. But if, you know, your pile of vegetables is your pile of vegetables, the vegetables don't lie. And it used to be that when I went to get my car picked up from servicing, they had a kind of Kanban board at the car servicing place. And if your keys were hanging up on the Kanban board, you knew that your car was ready. And if they weren't hanging up, then you knew it wasn't. Similar idea. You can't hang up the cars if you're the car keys if you're using the car keys in the workshop. So making the work visible, really powerful. It's important that we make our work as visible as it possibly can be. And I think we very often, I find that I need to encourage my customers to make their work visible, because that's one of the best ways you can have a good process, a good work process, is everyone can see what's going on. You can coordinate, so when I'm driving up the road that I live on, it's quite a narrow street. There are cars parked on both sides. When you see the other car coming, if I'm watching the car coming in the other direction and they're watching me, we can coordinate. We can make sure that one of us speeds up and the other one slows down at exactly the right time, so that when we go past each other, it's in one of the gaps between the parked cars, so neither of us has to screech to a halt, and we both go faster as a result. But we have to watch each other, and we coordinate with each other that way. So that's a really important point as well. And the last point I wanted to make really is that we create the world by communicating about it. We actually create the world of work by what we say. It's partly a matter of uncontroversial content. There's the stuff that we say to each other. If we use jargon, we introduce a new idea into the workplace. If it's a useful new idea, then people will have to pick that up and talk about it. Sometimes they're not useful ideas. They are ideas that have been handed down from senior management or from the regulator or something, but we take those new words into our vocabulary and we start talking about them. And by repeating those words, by introducing them into our conversation, we are making them part of our reality that we negotiate with each other. But I say the rules of the game because it's a basic attribute of people's communication with each other. People need to know the rules. They need to know, what are we supposed to be doing here, and what are we supposed not to be doing here. And everything that we do in a conversation tends to be based on an unspoken understanding about how we're supposed to be speaking to each other, and people will tend to obey those rules in some cases, and they will tend to deliberately break the rules in some cases. And we're usually not aware that we're doing it. We're not normally aware that we're obeying the rules or that we are breaking the rules, but we are normally aware that the other person is breaking the rules. And sometimes that's a good thing. If the person breaks the rules in a constructive, collaborative way, and sometimes it's a bad thing if they break the rules in a way that's intended to get one over on you. So you can break the rules collaboratively, or you can break them competitively. And I think that simple idea is quite useful sometimes in understanding what someone is trying to do when they talk to you.